Good afternoon. We are continuing with those algebraic expressions turning into equations now. We've been working on simplifying those expressions, and I keep telling you, if it doesn't have that equal sign, we're not solving for anything, we're just simplifying. But now we look at PO61 and it says, I can solve a multi-step equation. If it's an equation, what are we going to see? The equal sign. So now we're actually going to be solving. So solving a multi-step equation means an equation with more than two steps. We have worked with the one step, we've worked with the two steps. Remember the one step, 6x equals 12. What is x? Two steps, 6x plus 3 equals 15. What is x? Now we're doing multi-step. There's more than two steps. So we're building on those objectives that we worked on a while ago, and we're adding to them. There are three concepts we're going to focus on that make an equation multi-step. Combining like terms, the distributive property, and in what we're going to do in PO62 is having variables on both sides. And we have had a little experience with that with our Khan Academy, having variables on both sides with the slope-intercept form, variables on both sides. So we have exposure to that already. We're going to work on it more deeply. So combining like terms, our goal for doing that, when we're doing what we just did in our last objective, why are we combining the like terms? We want to simplify equations by combining like terms. It's just to simplify them. We are combining them to simplify it. Easier to use, right? So when we look at 5/10 versus a half's a whole lot simpler, right? Smaller numbers. 35/70, big numbers, a half. Simplifying it, easier to use. Same thing with our equations. We combine so we can simplify it and it's easier to use. The simpler we can get, the quicker we can do our math, the more it's going to make sense, the less mistakes we're going to make. James. Okay. So when combining like terms, you are only working with one side of an equation. You do not use opposite operations until you move terms to the other side to isolate the variable. So the first step we do is we do the combining of like terms on each side of the equation. Combine your like terms. Then you do opposite operations, moving terms to the other side. So we only combine like terms on one side of the equation. You look at the other side of the equation, you combine those like terms. Then we do opposite operations. Okay? So let's see what this means. Let's do some together. It does say show your work. So do we ever just write an answer when we're showing our work? No. We need to know when it's time to take the test. We're going to look back at it. And I don't want you to look at that and say, oh, how did I get this answer? Snoikies, I forgot. Show your work so you can say, oh, that's right. These were the steps we went through. What I write on the board here, you should be writing in your binder. So if it's on the board, it should be in your binder. So when combining, I already read that, so let's show our work. So we have 6x plus 4x equals 50. What's my first step? Gus?
Combine the 6x and 4x.
Yeah, 6x and 4x are on the same side of the equal sign. They are like terms, so I can combine them. 6x plus 4x gives me 10x equals, there's only the constant on that side, so I don't have to combine anything. Now I have to solve it. How do I solve it? I'm solving for my variable. Evelyn.
We will do opposite operations, which is zero. 10x divided by 10x is 50, and then 50 divided by 10x.
Careful. We're solving for x. We want to keep x on this side of the equal sign.
Just divide by 10.
So we were multiplying that x by 10, so we want to divide by 10. We want the x to remain, so we're not dividing by 10x. We want that x there, so we're just dividing out that coefficient of 10. So 10 divided by 10 is my 1. I don't have to write the 1 because 1 times x is still x. 50 divided by 10 is 5. So that is my answer. Let's look at our next one. Negative 8x plus 5x equals negative 12. What do I do to solve this one? Who can tell me the math to work through? Agnes.
Combine the negative 8 with 5.
The negative 8x and the positive 5x. So what is, combining those like terms, what do I get? Negative 8x plus 5x gives me what? Negative 3x. We have to keep that variable with it. And that equals negative 12. There is only one term there, so it just stays by itself. So what does x equal? What do I have to do, Evelyn?
Negative 12 divided by negative 3.
I have to divide both sides. All of my terms I'm going to divide by that coefficient. So don't forget, every term gets divided by that coefficient to get x by itself. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is a positive 1. Negative 12 divided by negative 3 is what? Positive 4. Who can work out the next one for me? Who's somebody that has it yet? Priya.
18 minus 10.
So 18n combined with negative 10n. And what do we get? What was that? 8n. Then we're going to bring down our constant plus 2 because there's no other constant on that side of the equal sign. That equals, there's only one term on this side, that 90. Now I need to solve it for n. What steps do I have to go through? Evan. So remember those opposite operations. Gus?
Subtract the 2.
I want to first remember Sadler. We do that subtraction or addition first. So I'm subtracting 2 from both sides. Plus 2 minus 2 leaves me with just my 8n. 90 minus 2 is the 88. Not done yet. It's not n by itself. So this is the second step. Remember, it's that multi-step, the two-step operation that we've done ages ago, where we did the subtraction and addition. Then we have to do the multiplying or dividing. So what do I do to get n by itself? Emily.
Divide 8n by 8 to get n, and divide the 88 by 8 to get 11.
Yes. So I divide by my coefficient. I want the n by itself, so I divide all of my terms by 8. 8 divided by 8 is 1. 88 divided by 8 is 11. What do I do for this last one? Evelyn.
Is it 10? So it would be 12?
Positive 10n minus 2n, so negative 2n. Yeah, because 10n, that positive 10 minus the 2 gives me an 8n. What else can I combine? The 3 and the 7. Positive 7, positive 3. It gives me a what for my constant? positive 10, and that equals 2. So I combined my variable, I combined my constants, and that equals the 2. Now we're doing the math that we've done before in previous objectives. So we did the combining in previous objectives. We've done our 2-step in previous objectives. So we're just taking all of this knowledge that we've done and we're putting it in one problem. So what do I do to solve for n? What's my first step I have to do now to solve for the n? Emily?
Subtract 10.
I'm going to subtract 10 from both sides. So I'm left with just that 8n. 2 minus 10 is what?
-8.
Now what do I have to do to get n by itself? I have to divide both sides by my coefficient of 8. 8 divided by 8 is the 1. Negative 8 divided by 8 is what? Negative 1. So we've done all of these steps before. Now we're just putting it all into one huge problem. 8. Because I had 2 and I subtracted 10 from it. 2 minus 10 puts me into that negative side. Evelyn?
Did you take the 8
For this one?
Yeah. Did you take that?
Yeah, so up here was 8n plus 10. So I subtracted 10 so that 8n was still there. And then I have to divide it by that coefficient of 8 to get my n by itself. So there were a lot of 8's in this problem. Any other questions on this one? All right, so let's look at the distributive property. We learned about the distributive property in our previous objective. The goal of the distributive property, anybody have a guess on what our goal is when we do that distributive property? What are we doing? Evan?
A parentheses B plus C.
Yeah, we want to get, what is it we're doing when we distribute it? We distribute that A through it. What is the goal? What is the intention? Michael? Not simplifying it. We're doing something a little more specific. Emily? We're getting rid of the parentheses. We're going to eliminate
Welcome to your
the
Thursday afternoon
parentheses.
announcement. Golf lessons begin after school today. Teachers, you all received an email with the
Yeah, we don't
participant
need to be
name.
worrying about that with the middle school.
If you are one of those participants, please meet your teachers
So
outside
we're
of
going to
the gym
remember to
after school.
distribute that
Any questions?
coefficient
Call me
to
at 109.
all of the
I have a
terms.
number of pickups needed in the
So
office.
we're going to show that.
First,
Let's listen if
Mrs.
anybody in here
King
has to pick
and
up.
Mrs. Russler, could you please send a representative down to pick up your mail? And with the following students, please come to the office. Matthew Tipton, Baxter Birkin, Charlie Klausner, Blakely Larson, Ellie Musuna, Hunter Schilling, Audrey Olmsted, Bennett Keir, Nathan Frazier, and Braden Kaharis. Thank you.
So remember, when we are distributing through the parentheses, we're multiplying. That number that's right outside of the parentheses means it is multiplication. So pay attention to your signs. We talked about this yesterday. So our first thing we're going to do is that distributive property. So we're going to be multiplying. 7 times n is 7n. 7 times -5 is -35. That equals 42. We have to do our opposite operations. Remember, SADMER, we do our subtraction or addition first. So this is a -35 minus 35. We want to add 35. So that's 7n comes straight down. Minus 35 plus 35 zeros out. 42 plus 35 is 77. Now we have to do that multiplication or division, the opposite operation. So we're dividing by 7, so n equals 11. How did I get what? You understand it? Okay. So always just ask if you don't understand, if you miss a step or you forget from a previous objective what we're doing. All of this talking needs to be done. So next one, 3 times negative 2x, 3 times positive 9. 3 times the negative 2x is a negative 6x. 3 times a positive 9 is a positive 27, equals 39. So we subtract our 27, opposite operations. We have negative 6x equals 12. Opposite operations, we're going to divide. X equals 12 divided by negative 6 is a negative 2. And now we have parentheses first. So we know it's going to be a 2 plus. That just comes straight down. 8 times n is 8n. 8 times negative 5 is a negative 40. That equals 122. Now I have to combine my like terms. 2 combined with a negative 40 gives me a negative 38. And then I have my 8n minus 38 equals 122. I do my opposite operations. Minus 38 is plus 38. So I have 8n equals 160. Opposite operations of multiplying is dividing. And I have n equals 20. Do we need to do all of this work?
Yeah.
Yes. Is there multi-steps? Yes. I should see those multi-steps. I don't want to hear, well, I did it in my head. Write it out. If we try to do all of this in our head, what ends up happening? Simple mistakes happen. We want to avoid the simple mistakes. Take the time to write it out. It is okay to write it out. That's how we learn and grow. Take the time to write it out. Last one, first thing we do is our opposite or our distributive. Is this a 3 I'm going to be multiplying by? Negative 3. Keep that sign with it. It is a negative 3. So negative 3 times 8n is negative 24n. Negative 3 times minus 3 is a plus 3. I bring down this 3n that was at the beginning. It equals 3. I combine like terms. 3n minus 24n gives me a negative 21n. Plus 3 equals 3. Now I can do my opposite operations. Now I've done all my simplifying. I did the distributive property. I combined my like terms. Now I go into my opposites. Plus 3 is minus 3. So I get negative 21n equals 0. Well, 3 minus 3.
No, I said which is 0.
Negative, yeah. So negative 21 divided by negative 21 divided by negative 21, n equals 0. Questions on how we do this math? Some of us are trying to work ahead. You're running the risk of doing things incorrectly if you're not paying attention. I expect to see all of these steps written out on our homework, that second page. There are 9 problems. You write out every step till you get down to that bottom. It's always a good idea to circle your answer because we have so much writing that we are doing. If we run out of room, what can we do? Use the sheet to the left. Use a piece of loose leaf and include it. I expect to see all of your work. 9 problems. That's your homework. We have a little bit of class time. For my friends at home, we hope you are well, and we hope to see you soon. Have a wonderful day.